Says you are live. What's up,
We are
Tom?
live. How's it going?
Good.
Excellent.
Good. Welcome back,
We're back for
everybody.
round three.
Round 3 with BuildSync on another. I got to find a better name for this. I was thinking about because I'm going to be doing more throughout the year with you and some other people, but the monthly live stream construction Yeti construction tech demo.
Yeah, you definitely need to wordsmith that a little bit.
It's
it's kind of yeah. So it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, does it? You know.
I tell people I'm a marketer, so I guess I got to do a better job.
That's it.
How you been, Tom?
Yeah, really good. Really good. We had a I still remember a day, and Luke and I used to call it the Garage of Dreams, where Luke and I would be in his. Oh, sorry for. We're in America. Garage. I'll pronounce that.
The garage.
In the Garage of Dreams. And now we've processed 500,000 submittals. We've been, every single month we're getting new GCs come on board, new subs come on board. It's just fun. It's a fun company to run. BuildSync is a fun company to run. And I just like dealing with construction people, I think I might have said this in a previous one, but you guys are just no BS. And as soon as you realize something delivers value, it's like, this makes sense. So, and BuildSync, luckily, we kind of fall into that category quite often. So,
I agree. So everybody out there on the live stream, this looks like there's a few people trickling in here. So the way we do these is Tom's co-founder, Luke, is in the LinkedIn chat. And so if you have any questions as we go, we want to make this as interactive as possible. And so ask your questions, give your digs. If you want to just tell Tommy sucks, go ahead and do that too.
go ahead. My wife tells me.
So and any questions that are, that I think are good for the entire audience to hear, I'll pull them up on the screen and I'll have Tom address it to everybody. And then any more nuanced questions, Luke's in the LinkedIn chat. He'll answer everyone else's questions over there. And so on this one, we really wanted to kind of do some updates with what BuildSync has. So if you haven't seen BuildSync before, they have what I've kind of termed the OG automated submittal reviewer.
No, I just have to stop there. That is fantastic. That is so good. No, seriously, I'm having that inscribed on my headstone. Yeah, the OG submittal reviewer. Like that is, I've never been an OG of anything. And now, so Luke and I were wearing that badge very proudly.
And then you gave me the idea of memeing you into a drunken Tom Brady. So that's still on my to-do list.
That's it. Yeah, the GOAT submittal reviews. And I don't even understand. I know the GOAT conversation is quite sensitive in America, so I won't partake in that part. But if we can claim the crown of the submittal guys, that's good.
There you go. All you need. And then I'm also, so you've guys had some more updates that I haven't actually had a chance to see yet. So I'm ready to dive in. Like y'all's drawing revisions tool, your spec to drawing comparison tool, and that one's got me really excited. And then your submittal reasoning tool.
Yeah, so that's really cool.
I'm excited to see all the new updates, and plus I know you're going to touch on the OG stuff too. So I'm going to let you, no further ado, share your screen, and we'll do our monthly Better Wordsmith demo.
Right, can I just get the thumbs up from everyone? We're doing a tech check. The screen is here. You can see my screen. You can, Matt. We're good.
Oh yes, if you're asking me, yes, I can. And so if you're in the LinkedIn, feel free to let us know you're here. I can't see the LinkedIn, but I can see the comments here on my side. So let us know you're here. Let us know where you're calling in from. This was lunch-ish. It's lunch for me, but it's hard to have lunch across.
Brunch for me, I guess, on the West Coast. Yeah, it's brunch out here on the West Coast. Awesome. Yeah, Matt, no, great introduction. And we love doing these sessions. We love engaging with the Construction Yeti audience. Very, we get a ton of people coming through every month that say they heard about BuildSync through you. And the one constant theme is they love the memes. So I think I can speak for the whole community when I say keep it up. You're doing the Lord's work out there.
I was telling you, if I could make a complete living making memes, I'd have it made.
We were discussing that yesterday. Yeah. No, but to piggyback on what you said, so we always want to be known as the OG submittal review guys. Luke and I have been obsessed with just solving this problem for the industry. But as you kind of evolve as a company, you start finding use cases for your current technology, particularly in construction, use case for your current technology that you can kind of add. And really, that's kind of some of the things we've been alluding to. So As a lot of you probably know us and possibly have seen BuildSync's functionality, I'm actually going to start with our document comparison tools. The two main use cases, again, as Matt alluded to there, are the drawing comparison feature and the plans to spec. So if we start with the plan to spec, it's, as with everything with BuildSync, we just try to be really easy to use. So how we start using the software is we just jump into BuildSync.ai. We just log in the top right-hand corner here, and that will take us directly through to our project screen. So our project screen is really simple. To add a project, we just hit this button here, Add Project. And once we've done that, we can actually just jump in and start adding in our plans and specs. So the example I'm going to run with is this example here for HV Hotel. So as you can see, we've just jumped into our plans and specs tool here. And what we're going to do is we're going to upload our plans and specs into BuildSync. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit this button here, View File, and File History. And what that's, as we can see here, we've got our drawings here, and then we've got our specs here. So all we actually need to do is, once we've uploaded our plans and specs and our drawings into BuildSync, we can just hit this button here, Compare File Versions. And what BuildSync does is it will go away and compare those file versions against each other. And so this is typically used by our clients at the beginning of a project to really just get ahead of any potential risks that might come up. We really want to know about things before a project starts, instead of finding out, of course, after the fact. So what we're going to do is, once BuildSync has gone away and it's done its validation of those plans and specs, we can actually see, if we hit View Changes here, BuildSync has just produced what we call our change report. And essentially what this details is the contradictions between those plans and specs that it found. So if we take a look at we can look at any of these, yeah. So BuildSync has detected some changes. They're not particularly large impact changes, but if we have a look here at our this file section, so we can see left-hand side, BuildSync has brought up the specs of the project. Let me just zoom in here. We'll actually just see what BuildSync's highlighted. So we've got the pleated cotton polyester media, the 90% air resistance, and 7 MERV. And what we can see corresponding next door is we can see those drawings that this has been related to. So if we just zoom around here, we can actually find the changes this is relevant to. So we can see here the provide with filter housing and 2-inch MERV and filters. So again, what we're getting at is we're just being able to quickly ascertain the differences between the plans and specs. And so we can, and we're surfacing in this tool, it's more so of again, just getting ahead of these problems. So the things that we're, commonly finding, we've of course found some, larger impact changes, but this kind of stuff, is very common for us to find. And again, understanding that the specs are calling for vertical discharge fans to be furnished with a minimum of 14 inches high. And then if we compare and contrast that against the plans here, we can just scroll down to our fan section. Again, this isn't a particularly sizable, if we scroll in here, this isn't a particularly sizable difference, but again, it's still worth us understanding that before something kicks off.
You guys have run this quite a few times. Like, what's your catch ratio? Do you catch 90% of the discrepancies?
I think that's a good place to start. Yeah, for sure. 90% discrepancies. And I think really, another use case this ties into is what I was referring to before, which was the drawing comparison element of this. So what we're often noticing our customers do is, alongside using this tool, is they're actually also using our drawing comparison tool as well. So a drawing comparison tool is used in exactly the same manner. We're going to go to File History. We're going to upload our first set of drawings. We're then going to add in our second set of drawings, and we're just going to hit this button here, compare file versions, which again, it's just comparing those files against each other. The use case that we see this one commonly happening is, let's say you got like 50% CD, and then a period of time goes past and you're getting 90% CD, and you just want to make sure you understand the changes. This is precisely why this functionality was built. So we hit compare files versions, and what BuildSync is doing is it's just comparing them against each other. So if we just click on View Changes, again, BuildSync produces this the change report that we saw previously. And again, here we've got some medium impact changes, we've got some low impact changes. BuildSync's just kind of ranked them. And the idea behind this is exactly the same, but it does goes a little layer deeper, if we will. So if we jump into this change, BuildSync's found a bunch of changes here. Yeah. And again, left-hand side is going to be 90%. Right-hand side here is going to be 50%. And so this is what I find really interesting for this particular tool. Again, everyone joining this call that is doing this stuff manually themselves at the moment will appreciate this far better than myself, is that design teams are rarely perfect. And what I mean by that is that we can actually see on this this updated version here, design teams have actually gone through and they've made these bubbles, this bubbling, if you will, detailing where the changes have happened. But as we all know, that's rarely a perfect process. And so what I'm getting at here is that if we take this OSP, for example, that was not highlighted as a change on the second set of drawings, but BuildSync still caught it as a change. If we just go through, some of these ones that are highlighted in yellow, yeah, this is a good one. This heating hot water pump schedule. If we just have around here, if we find the heating hot water pump schedule, again, none of these have actually been surfaced as a change. But again, because BuildSync is relying on that text-to-text comparison, even if it was not highlighted as a change by our design team, BuildSync's still going to catch up. So I think that kind of ties into your question, Matt, about percentage of change and how BuildSync works in that context.
So in this is like if you get a design iterations, I think too, right, during in pre-construction, but also how does it work during construction where you get a drawing revision, as an ASI or something, right? But you've got a 200-page plan set and they revise 20 sheets.
Yeah.
Can you just upload just those 20 sheets, and how does that work?
Yeah, for sure. And that's at the discretion of the user. It's a little bit, in some cases, it's a little bit better and the results can be turned around quicker if you're just uploading the 20 sheets, or if it's easier, just upload the whole 200 and BuildSync will compare them. So it doesn't really matter too much in terms of the volume of data that's uploaded. I think what's more important is just the completedness of that data, just making sure everything that you've got and you want to check is uploaded into the software. Because if you're not doing that, which is an easy mistake to make in some cases, but you can have results that go awry.
I think I've spent a lot of time in Bluebeam overlaying drawings in Bluebeam just to see what they didn't cloud, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's this here, without having to have side screens and looking at everything. And so just having something where overlaying in Bluebeam is such a handy tool, but damn, it's time.
I know. That's kind of why we built this. And again, just to be super clear for everyone, we're not saying that this is going to be kind of the great, tool that replaces Bluebeam in any of that kind of context. Not at all. But it's more so like we kind of think of this as just an insurance policy. It's and also as well, look, a lot of the construction professionals that I work with, and I'm sure everyone in the comments can relate to this, is just super busy. And so, we've all heard of AI agents that kind of, can go off and a set of tasks and can execute for us. And that's kind of how we're thinking about BuildSync, is that, in the context of these plans to specs before the project even starts, then during construction, you're getting these updated drawing sets, from your example, 50 to 90% or whatever it may be. And you just kind of want it done for you.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to set it. I was set and forget is my great line here. You just want to send it up to BuildSync, kind of forget about it, let it process, let it come back to you, and BuildSync's just going to tell you where the changes are. And then you can use your good professional construction knowledge to make good decisions predicated on the insights that we raise.
So Donald, he had a question here in the comments, kind of around the Bluebeam thing. It says Bluebeam can currently find differences in drawings, kind of like what I was talking about, right? Where you can do the overlay, it can show you the differences, but that's when they've got to be aligned. You can manually go in there and align them and pick 3 points and line them up. If the scale of the two drawings is slightly off, or if the shift within the the plan sheets shifted, you can go realign it. If somebody knows a better way, it's time consuming. Maybe there's a better way than I know how to do it, but I hate it. But anyway, if you have that problem in BuildSync and the two sheets, the revision aren't aligned, will it automatically align them and understand the differences?
Yes, it will. It'll automatically align them and understand the context. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Not a problem at all. Because again, that's something commonly with this tool that we actually see. Donald, you're not alone in that problem. So all of these kind of functionality bumps that we had to overcome, we worked through way before we released this tool. And this tool's been out in market now for about a year or so. So it's fairly mature. Awesome. I'll tell you something else that's really interesting. And this is functionality. Again, we built this for a mechanical sub that we've been working with now for a couple of years. And look, going back to what we said at the beginning, the reason that we started this business was to become the OGs of submittal reviews. That's always kind of the rock, if you will, where we're building the company from. And so what we're actually doing here is very interesting. So not only are we've gone through and we've checked these drawings and we found the discrepancies between the two sets of drawings, but if you are using BuildSync submittal review tool as well, which the vast majority of customers that use our drawing vision tool are also using our submittal review tool. And so what BuildSync will do is it will actually tell you if any changes have happened and how they actually impact the submittals. So, if we take this example here, BuildSync has found a medium impact change. Plumbing valve schedules revised, etc., etc. BuildSync has then gone in and actually checked the submittal that this is related to, and generated a comment that says the valve schedule changed ball valve bodies from brass to bronze, and the balls from plated brass to stainless steel. This will likely require a resubmission with the new material selected. None of the medical gas equipment has been submitted yet. BuildSync is actually saying, hey, the change in this one has been so vast that we actually recommend that you resubmit entirely. And in other instances, maybe the change hasn't been that vast. Like this one here, it's relatively low impact change. BuildSync has found the submittal's been affected, but actually it just says you just need to reprocess this. So you jump into the submittal tool, reprocess this against new drawings, and then you can make a better determination from there.
But what does reprocess mean versus resubmit?
So resubmit means you need to resubmit that submittal entirely.
Try again.
So you're going to be compliant. Yeah, you're going to go again, basically. And reprocess means you just need to reprocess that through BuildSync. So you can jump into the submittal review tool, which we'll touch on in a minute, and you can just hit reprocess, and there you go. It's all done.
Yeah, that's cool.
Excellent. How are we looking for questions, Matt? Is there any other questions coming up?
Luke is playing whack-a-mole. He's doing a great job.
The deep technical questions, Luke, and all the niche ones, because I saw that we had some kind of specialty contractors asking about some edge case stuff in the lead up to this. So those kind of questions, Luke will do a great job kind of.
I got one here on the screen from Taylor. It's kind of a continuation of some other ones, and we'll get into the into the submittal stuff more detail in a minute, but just to kind of, because there's been a couple questions on it already, but just kind of address it. Taylor says, so for submittal reviews, it can do all submittal reviews aside from shop drawings. Am I understanding that correctly?
Bingo.
And so even what
Yes.
you're talking about here, you're still not, when you're talking submittals, you're talking product data and all that. You're not talking shop drawings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We kind of use that as an umbrella term for everything product data related. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, but again, what do you think?
I've been on you about that.
You have been on me.
That's a whole other animal.
There's a whole other animal, and there's actually quite a few technical hurdles to overcome that are not just related to BuildSync, that are kind of more macro trends.
Yeah.
That we would want to see, that we need to see, frankly, before we can release a tool that reliably does shop drawings. So for us, just the product data submittals at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I do appreciate, you guys, is whatever you put out on the market, it's going to be top notch. You're not just shipping something to ship something.
We try to be really careful in that regard, because we've built up a great reputation on the back of the awesome work that we do. And, technology is, and I get it, I'd be the same. People are really fickle with tech. If you put out a bad product, you can just sour that relation, that kind of reputation quite quickly. So that's not something we want to do. So are we ready for submittals, or what are we?
There's a little bit more nuance around that. Maybe it's maybe a workaround, sort of. So is it possible to check a set of shop drawings for compliance with IFC drawings and specs? Maybe, I mean, if you're not checking the shop drawing, the actual maybe layout of the shop drawing, but maybe, does this shop drawing have the right material and stuff? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So not actually. Are you referencing there, like, not actually? Because the problem with shop drawings is it's basically the drawings. That's the issue. It's not necessarily the text on drawings. So in this context, are you talking about reviewing the text and then verifying that against the plans and specifications?
That's a good question. I don't know the question.
Whoever asked that question is a solid question. Ask it again in the chat, and
Luke will definitely.
Yeah, Luke will whack-a-mole it for sure. Because, as I said, basically it's the issue with shop drawings is really centered around the drawings themselves. But I also think as well that, so the common number that we get back from our customers, and this is talking about our submittal review tool, is that they're saving around about 70% of the time taken to do submittals. So super easy math. They're doing 10 hours a week on submittals. They might use BuildSync to do 3 hours a week reviewing submittals. But I do always think as a trend with AI that there is going to be a part of, as it stands today, for sure, that humans are just much better at doing. And when you're considering all of the nuance that's to be taken into the context of shop drawings, I think humans might be a better use case for doing that stuff. I don't know, it's a whole other conversation, but it's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah. So what is everyone saying? Should we jump onto the submittals now?
I think there's a lot of interest around submittals. I mean, that's the one I tease up the most. So I think let's just get into submittals.
Let's do it. I actually wanted to ask at the beginning of this session, I wanted to ask who's still coming for us for submittals? Because I maybe had taken for granted that kind of people know BuildSync exists now, and they know that we're sort of well established in this category. So I was kind of thinking this was everyone was bubbling up to see our latest updates, but actually there's a huge amount of people that are still haven't even seen our submittal tool yet. So
I think so, and based on the conversations happening in the chat, there's a lot of submittal based conversation happening. So
awesome. I can talk about submittal reviews all day long. So yeah, thank you for those that are attending on the submittal review side as well. So yeah, our submittal tool has been around for a while now. And again, the people that come talking to me about it are talking for two reasons. The first group of people that come around talking to me about submittals, the reason they want to look at BuildSync is they are just tired with dealing with submittal rejections. Believe it or not, and I know we've discussed this before, Matt, but believe it or not, we will get people, and it is project dependent, that come to us and are saying, we're getting like 40% of our submittal kickbacks. And I know that sounds pretty high, but it's not unheard of. And then we get another group of people that come to us for the submittals. They just want to save time. They're doing really thorough submittal reviews at the moment, but it's just taking a lot of time from them. And then we get some people that kind of come for a bit of both. So the submittal review tool is really simple to use, and it really follows the functionality that we were just talking about. So you jump into your plans and specs, and you just upload your design file, upload your plans, your specs into BuildSync. Should take you 5 minutes or so. You then jump into our submittal review tab, and you upload our submittal. So we just hit this button here, upload submittal, and you can just drag and drop. You can upload 1, you can upload 10. They can be individual product submittals. More commonly, we see like submittal packages. So we'll see like, 20, 30, 40 different products in one PDF. Really doesn't matter too much. Once you hit upload, what happens is BuildSync immediately starts reviewing those submittals. Now, the review process means 4 things are happening in the background. So the first thing that BuildSync does is BuildSync will go in and it will break down the submittals to a product level. So as you can see here, I use this lighting fixture example because, I'm yet to meet someone that kind of enjoys reviewing lighting fixtures. It's just a bunch of products, it's long-winded. So first stage that BuildSync does, it breaks down all of the products that made up the submittal. The second thing that BuildSync does is it will then break down those products to their technical characteristics. So as we can see here, we've got left-hand side of the screen submittal characteristic. Again, fairly self-explanatory, but that is what BuildSync found from the submittal itself. The middle of the screen, the design characteristic, that is what our plans and specs are calling for. So that's kind of stage 2. Stage 3 is where BuildSync makes its determination. So BuildSync tells us, this is a pass, meaning happy days, this is good, this meets plans and specs. This here is a fail, meaning the opposite, it does not meet plans and specs. And in the middle of those two, we have the unknown, which means the answer is ambiguous. Now, the trend that we notice when customers are first adopting BuildSync is they do tend to come in and kind of, they want to check everything, basically. So they'll come in, they'll see something pass, and they'll hit the see text button, and they'll just check out the text. And they'll say, okay, the mounting here, submittal was stating it's going to be ceiling or wall, and the mounting here is surface or wall mounted, which is, again, that just makes sense. That passes. What we do notice, though, happening after a while is people tend to spend a lot more time focusing on the failures and the unknowns. And the reason for that is that's really where they're going to derive insights into, okay, does this submittal need to go back to my sub or vendor, whoever it is, to essentially get fixed, or can this go through to the next stage in the chain? If we just focus on failures for a second, So what does failure mean? As I said, it's not good. But this is kind of where BuildSync gets interesting, and this is some of the functionality that we didn't discuss last time that BuildSync has released a little while ago, but it's becoming even more salient to our customers. So BuildSync flagged this as a fail. Submittal value calls for this. Design requirements are stating this. Now the only notable difference here is this frosted lens has been called out in design requirements. So what BuildSync has actually said here is BuildSync has said, hey, note that the frosted polycarbonate lens for 75R has not been selected. Now, the next logical step we get from here is customers like, well, that's great. It's awesome to have this insight, but I actually want to see it. Like, I want to see on the documents themselves, what's stated there. So all I'm going to do is, instead of hitting see text, I'm just going to hit see files. And what this is going to do is just 2 things for me. Left-hand side of the screen, we are going to see the original copy of the submittal. Of course, this is on the correct page, meaning it's on the page that this characteristic has been pulled from. And we can actually see in this instance, so our subcontractor, whoever it is, has done a pretty good job of marking up what they're submitted on. However, what BuildSync has found is BuildSync has found the frosted polycarbonate lens was not selected. And so this red box here, just to be very clear to the audience, that's not populated by sub, that's not come pre-populated, any of that kind of stuff. This has been marked up by BuildSync. So this is the fourth stage in the process. BuildSync has actually gone onto the submittal itself and marked up where specifically it found the failure. And what we can now do is we can
on that. The blue rectangles, that was user marked up, right? That was what they did when they submitted it. So it knew it's kind of a little blurry, it's a little small, but over there on that left-hand column of options, it knew that one was selected.
Yeah.
And so it knew, okay, you've selected this one and that's good, but you do not select this one over here. And so it knows that like you didn't circle what you're picking in your options.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So this frosted polycarbonate lens we're going to see next door now. So if we come to the plans, yeah, and it'll be the plans or the specs depending on what the characteristic is verified against. But if we come next door to the plans, you can just zoom in. We can find SK4. So, yeah, let's have a look. And bum bum bum, we can see. Yes, in fact, the frosted lens was specifically called out here. But on the submittal, it wasn't called for. It wasn't circled, wasn't highlighted. So again, you guys, you know, this happens all the time. These are the kind of things we find routinely, and I'm sure everyone does in their existing submittal reviews. But if this gets missed by you in your review of the submittal and it goes through to, you know, maybe the GC or goes through to the design team, there's two options. It either gets kicked back, which is kind of the best case scenario. But again, the whole merry-go-round of the submittal review starts all over again. And this is also really common. It gets past the design team. And this actually gets ordered and this goes to install in the field. And then there's a fight with, okay, you know, how are we dealing with this out in the field? And this could delay work or whatever it may be. So for those, you know, for the people that haven't seen BuildSync before, that we really just view ourselves as we're just enabling you to get ahead of these problems before they actually become problems on site. You know, it's much easier to deal with this stuff in the office.
That's the fact that it marks it up for you. I remember whenever you brought that out last year, I was like, this is a game changer because people were still going to have to they were taking the output that the website was giving them and then going into Bluebeam or someone going in there and marking it up to send it back to the subcontractors.
Yeah.
And so just add another little admin time cutting step out.
For sure. And it's funny how this kind of started. Luke and I went to a customer in Denver about, almost a year ago, like this time, March last year. And we noticed what they were doing was they were looking at the data BuildSync produced, or looking at the insights rather BuildSync produced, or looking at the compliance report, which is going to jump into a second, that BuildSync produced. And they were then going into Bluebeam, they're marking this up. And Luke kind of looked at me and he was like, oh yeah, we can just do that. You know, so it wasn't like some great kind of revelation. It was just like, oh yeah, we'll just like, would it be better if we just did that for you? And they're like, yes, it'd be much better. So that's kind of how that functionality came about. But yeah, it's been popular in popular users.
And so you kind of skipped a step. Well, maybe I'm kind of going out of the way, but how this integrates into Procore as well.
Yeah, I did kind of skip a step.
So you showed how you can manually, maybe I'm going out of turn in your demo. You do
no, you're not. Well, yeah, you are actually a bit. But
carry on.
Yeah. Let's do this because there's something. Sorry, I'm just getting excited. There's something else that's cool that I want to show you guys before we do the Procore piece. Yeah, but Procore piece is always a vote winner, especially for our GCs already using Procore. It always wins votes. But let me show you this because this is cool. Yeah, and this is where that reasoning comes into it. So if we look at these unknowns, Yeah, and I just want to address this because there's always a misconception around unknowns. People often think that unknowns mean that BuildSync is unable to make a decision. It's not the case. It typically means there's either conflicting or missing information that's leading to BuildSync being unable to make a determination. So, really common example, yeah. Design requirements calling for minimum 50,000 hours at 70%. LED estimated useful life has not been listed on the submittal itself. So BuildSync can't make a determination for stuff that's not there. Where the unknowns become more important is, more insightful, should I say, is these kind of scenarios. So BuildSync has found submittal requirement here, design value, design requirement here. BuildSync has generated a comment. It says, note the submittal fixture calls for L50 in the product, 5,000 lumens rather, but the minimum lumen column calls out 6,400, which is a design conflict. The submittal matches the product, but not the lumen column. Confirm design mismatch with the design team. So that kind of stuff is getting flagged all of the time, which is great. And also, just to kind of bring it back full circle to the functionality that we were talking about at the beginning, that plans to specs comparison tool. If there are contradictions between your plans and specs and you upload them into BuildSync, you don't even run the plan to spec comparison, they will still be found out at the submittal review stage. So at the characteristic stage, if there's conflicts, you'll see language like plans say this, specs say this, please talk to design team to determine direction, or words to that effect.
That's pretty nifty.
Yeah, it's good because, and we see that, kind of going back to the everything that was shared in the before this webinar. That's stuff that we just see all the time.
Yeah,
it just happens. Well, what in your experience have you seen? I'm sure that kind of, in your submittal review days, I'm sure that sort of stuff was surfaced.
No, never. Everything I did was all perfect. Everything, the plans and specs never, I mean, it's kind of funny. The best memes over the last couple of weeks as we've led up to this, I think the ones that popped the most were the drawing to spec discrepancy stuff. Like that's a huge point. And so, I mean, a lot of times, they may find it during, estimating. A lot of times it may slip through the cracks, or the estimator just punt it. The project manager will figure it out later. And then you submit something, and if you're not careful, you submit something and it meets plans, and then it gets kicked back because it didn't meet specs. And then it's okay, well, it met plan. Now you're having to have that argument. It met plans, but what do you want?
For sure.
And then if it's a long lead time item, you're just burning daylight while you're waiting for somebody to figure out, do they want the plan or want the spec or somewhere in between?
Yeah, I think this is a really good use case for AI to solve. But what's also super important, and you mentioned about the Procore integration. That's always, for anyone using Procore, if you're considering using BuildSync, I would say just run BuildSync through Procore. We're built into the workflow. It's certainly the way to go. But there is, the ultimate objective of BuildSync is to, of course, we want to surface the insights for you, but we also need to have a way to communicate this with other stakeholders. So, whoever this may be going to. So all we do is we just click two buttons in BuildSync. We click download overview, and we click download at the submittal level. And what this does, it just generates two different things. First thing that gets generated is our compliance report. So what we are looking at is just a copy, if you will, of the data that we just saw in BuildSync. So we have, BuildSync has the submittal we were just looking at. We have 13 different products in the submittal. We have 4 failing characteristics. We have 8 unknown characteristics. And then we have 66 passing characteristics. These tabs along the bottom here, all these are the products that made up the submittal. So it's the exact same waterfall, if you will, layout that we're looking at in BuildSync. here's where this gets interesting. So, we have a ton of experience with people coming to us and saying, yeah, well, it's not always the easiest thing for me to get, whoever it may be, vendors or maybe subcontractors, again, whoever, to address the problems that we're finding. Well, we tend to see that BuildSync mitigates that issue a little bit in the sense that if we look at a failure here, BuildSync is directing us to page 22 of the submittal. The submittal characteristic is calling for this. BuildSync is then directing us saying this is validated against 140th page of the drawings. We can see there's a little A-B here, just dictating if it's drawings or specs. In this case, it's drawings. And the design characteristic reads like this. And BuildSync has generated a comment that says, note that the fixture schedule calls for 3,500K color. And we can see here that 3,000 has been selected. So what we can do is we can just jump into the submittal itself. So we're going to download the submittal. And again, I'm already on page 22 in this instance, but we can see here, Luminaire schedule on 1E states color 3,500K for BL1. And we can see that the selection that was made was 3,000. So it doesn't meet plans and specs. We tend to find that it's really easy for whoever needs to make this correction to actually correct, because it's just really, getting to the point of, okay, this is what you need to fix.
All that admin, again, just cutting out that admin work, I think.
Yeah.
Of just all that back and forth and back and forth. And I'm going to ask a question here from YouTube. It's kind of with that. It kind of plays, I think this is a good time to slide it in here. But
yeah,
the question is, how are you selling this innovative solution to GCs that quote unquote think this is cheating and handicapping entry-level engineers to truly develop this skill of submittal review?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I'll be honest, we can't overcome it with everyone. It depends on how fixed the kind of mindset is for the person we're dealing with. If they are dying on that hill, then they're not going to be an early adopter of this type of technology, and we just can't overcome it. The trend that we do seem to see for quite a lot of GCs that we start working with is that they tend to view BuildSync not through the lens of, oh, well, this is like a shortcut. They tend to view it through the lens of, they accept themselves that when their new Ps are first coming out of school, that they might not necessarily know everything there is to know about submittals across the variety of trades, variety of divisions. And they actually tend to look at BuildSync as not only something that gets the job done faster, but also gives the opportunity for people to learn as well. And that's why we invested so heavily in the workflow aspect of BuildSync, because if someone doesn't understand something, well, they wouldn't have known to check it on the submittal anyway, and they would have just sent it through and hoped it crossed their fingers, hoped it got approved, which really isn't the right thing to do. But BuildSync will actually surface insights that they didn't know to check before. And even if they use BuildSync for 3 or 4 months and then they went back to manually reviewing submittals, they would know, oh, I actually have to check for these things when I'm reviewing a DOAS unit, or I have to check for these things when I'm reviewing a split system or an AHU or whatever. So yeah, it's a mixed bag. There's a lot of the industry we're not going to convince just now. I think time will convince people that, yeah.
This conversation, I think me and you've had a number of times kind of around that, because I see all this stuff on the internet, right? On Instagram and all these tools that, basically kids are getting through college on the back of ChatGPT and now Claude and all this stuff. And so that there's programs of how they can write their essays on. I'm not saying anybody in this industry would ever cheat, but you know what I mean. Kids are using ChatGPT, right? They're using all these tools. They're using like stuff probably I don't even know exists, because they're just way more, they're going to be AI first generation.
For sure.
And so now you're an old school, do it like grandpa used to do it construction company. That kid is not going to want to come work for you, right? If he can go with somebody else that's being innovative or using tools that doesn't have him literally pulling out a dusty spec book and flipping page by page by page by page by page while he's locked in a job trailer.
Yeah.
Like there's, I think I wrote an article about this, but there's an ongoing war on talent kind of for the next generation, right? There's not enough kids coming in, and you've seen all the articles, and, and it's on the trades level, but it's also in the, project management side of things.
Yeah.
And
sure.
the companies I think that kind of win over the next generation are going to be the ones that are innovative. They can find a way to teach them how to do a submittal review without having to do it like grandpa always did it.
Yeah. And look, Matt, you've been in those shoes, and I think probably everyone in the comments have been in those shoes or were in those shoes. What would you want to do? Would you want to go to a more kind of, dare I say, and I hate doing this because I don't want to cast aspersions on any company, but like old school, as you mentioned there, or would you want to be going with those firms that kind of are embracing the future?
I'll answer that question with another answer, kind of a different, but like the more I use AI and the more I use these tools to take the administrative busy work off my plate, lazy is not the right word, but I get lazier. I get like, hey, I don't want to do that way because there's an easier way. And so kind of your mind is unlocked. Like you don't want to go back to the old way of spending 4 hours, reviewing a 100-page submittal, right? When it's got, a lighting submittal or door hardware submittal. Like I can spend half a day, or I can have a tool that helps me so that I can actually go out and walk the job and do something that actually really moves the needle.
Yeah, for sure. It's like how I kind of think about it is that, and look, running an AI company kind of helps, yeah, but I'm an AI sort of addict in that as well. And what I notice is that the thing that AI can't replace is my thinking work, and that's what we always try to tell people. I always say, hey, it kind of relates to the question that was asked, but don't look at BuildSync as the way like, hey, I can just not think about this stuff anymore. You definitely still have to think. You still have to engage with it, and you have to make good decisions predicated upon your construction knowledge. But we will surface those insights that will enable you to make good decisions. And here's the reality. And people can try. I'm all over LinkedIn telling everyone, hey, try before you buy. Like try BuildSync, run some horror show submittals, see what comes back. Make an informed decision. But I'm willing to bet in basically every case that we chat to that the insights that we surface into any submittal review versus a human are going to be far more granular, far more in depth, and often look for things that you just wouldn't have checked for yourself. So, and then you do good stuff with that data. You do good stuff with that information.
Like James said, because I don't do long division or multiplication by hand if I don't have to, right? Like break out the calculator. It's a tool you got. Like, yeah, I know how to do it, but why do I want to?
Did you see there was someone in the construction tech ecosystem, and I can't remember who it was, shared a post recently, and it was in the 70s, and there are all these university professors outside of university protesting calculators. Did you see that?
I didn't, but that's hilarious.
I promise you, they're all like in these terrible like sandwich boards, that have like no to calculate. I swear this is real. I fact checked it, and it said like no to calculators or something. So I'm not saying that we've got that kind of crowd here, but maybe we will in whatever.
Well, it's like, have you seen that? It kind of became a meme, but it's a series of about 10 or 12 newspaper articles, headlines. And basically it's the theme that's gone back like 150 years or something like that in these newspaper headlines that basically says like, oh, the next generation, these kids just don't want to work anymore. But it's like,
I did see that.
1880 to like 1900 and all the way up till it's like, I don't know. As we get older, we realize that, I don't know, we get cranky.
Look, human beings so dynamic, and the economy's so dynamic. There's email didn't get rid of letters, but anyway, we are digressing. Let's go back to some
9 minutes left.
We've got 9 minutes. Okay, we've got 9 minutes.
I don't want to. You mentioned this a minute ago, but we got a question that says, "Cool, is there a free trial version of BuildSync available?" So this is an opportunity to give your puppy dog.
Your puppy dog. So BuildSync's whole go-to-market strategy is predicated around buying it before you try it. Yeah.
No,
Because sorry, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Actually, do you know what? That'd be great. Please buy it before you try it. But no, it's trying it before you buy it, to be very clear. Yeah, Matt and I called this the puppy dog sale. I think it's kind of how I twisted your arm to first like look at us.
I blew you off for months.
Oh, you did? Yeah, you did. You ghosted me. You did. But try it before you buy it. Yeah. After this, I'm sure Matt will send over a link. You can just go to book a demo with myself. You can also just go to buildsync.ai and find my diary if I want the guys' calendars, get booked in with us. And yeah, I'll take you through a demo just to make sure you understand the nuance and how to use it, set up and everything. At the end of it, give you a free trial, upload some horror show submittals into BuildSync, and tell us, after the fact, what you think of it. That's very much how I like to do things.
I've said this story before, but Tom reached out to me, I think, for a couple months on LinkedIn, and I was like, oh, it's another guy with an AI tool. It's garbage. Okay, I got it. And then he finally got me on a call, and he said, here, I don't even want to sell you on it. Just log in, throw a few of your submittals in there and see what happens. And I did it, and I was just like, and it wasn't even as good as it is today. It didn't do the automatic markup and all those other things that you guys have done in the last year. And I was just like, oh, this isn't just a ChatGPT wrapper. Like, this thing is legit. Like, you guys actually know what you're doing here.
Yeah.
And so, anyway.
Yeah. And look, we have to accept that, there's some people. It's funny. I was dealing with a customer last week, and they were saying to us that you've even got, and his language is like, we've got two 60-year-old PMs that have been with us for ages, been with us forever. And you've even got them, and they were always super dubious of AI. Yeah, they've seen it all in their time. Yeah. And he said, you've even got them using it now. I was like, that was awesome. But I do want to cover this because it's always a question. This is mainly for the GCs, those working at GCs, and well, subs as well. We get some subs using Procore. So basically, what BuildSync, we're a Procore partner. We're built into, if you type in BuildSync Procore on Google, or procore.com/BuildSync, what the page comes up or whatever. But it's really simple. So essentially what we do is we send a link for you, an API integration for you to install. You install it, and then BuildSync becomes an actor inside your submittal review workflow. Typically, this means it sits between your sub and you, if you being the GC. What happens is you upload create a submittal task for BuildSync in Procore. The ball in court will come down to BuildSync. That will trigger the API. BuildSync, if it's a new project, will go in, create the project, pull in the plans and specs, check to see if there's any updated specs, and this happens consistently. Pull in the submittal, break down the products, break down the characteristics, makes its determination, mark up the submittal. Then the ball in court goes to you, and looks like this. First thing you see is a marked up copy of the submittal, just detailing to you where the failures were found. So again, it's just an example. And then, of course, you will also have that compliance report as well that details everything there is to know about the submittal. It looks like this. So we tend to find that integration. Workflow is important in construction tech, and making sure you have tech that already embeds into an existing workflow is the ideal state. And with Procore, we can just do that. So
it's nifty, man. Nifty.
Yep. We've a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into getting it nifty, to use your language. But
it's pretty stinking cool.
That's it. He did. We've had some crackers. If anyone wants to be boring enough to look through my LinkedIn and see some of the reviews we've got some beautiful ones. We got some more guys in Denver that said, it's like, for the first time in my life, I'm excited to do submit reviews, and that's the kind of time where you just you want to phone your mum and just say, you know what, mum, I've made it. Yeah, I've.
We got like 4 minutes left, and then I got to bounce because I've actually got a day job I got to get to at 1 o'clock. I want to rapid fire a couple questions here for you, and we're probably not going to get to them all, but I know Luke's staying in the comments. He's going to address questions. If you have questions, if you're watching the replay and you got questions, fill them in there, and I'll try to address them if I can. Luke will try to address them if he can. I'll send them over to the guys. But better yet, there's a link. I'll put a link back in the comments. It's in the body of the description of the thing, or it's in my LinkedIn bio. You can go do a personal demo with Tom, ask all the questions, tear them apart, ask all the hard questions. And honestly, then he'll give you a little free trial. And then, like he said, throw your hardest ones in there and see if it works or not. So rapid fire questions. Here we go. Sarah says, are there plans in the works for an Autodesk ACC plugin?
Yes. Yeah, we already can. We haven't worked through the API details yet, but yes, if you want to see that specifically, book a demo and I'll show you. We can talk in more detail how that works. So.
Next question. I'd love to hear if BuildSync is working on a tool that can take specs placed in the drawings and or not in a CSI format into that readable PDF.
Already do it, no problem.
So it reads just like you were showing the equipment schedules. If it's specs listed out, just then I hate that when they do that. But yeah, it reads all the text.
Really super common, not just an issue you deal with. I can assure you, it's a question that's asked on 50% of demos, and the answer is yes, we do it, no problem.
What else we got here? Here's one. How do you handle legal aspects if a user presses the magic button, builds off the assumption all is right, but a failure happens during manufacture or operation?
Okay, so that sounds like there's a question with like quite a lot of nuance. Is that a rapid fire one? Does that really fall on that under that umbrella? Whoever asked that question, let's set up a call. We can discuss it. But yes, I think BuildSync's not taking on those risks. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the legal aspects are still the same as you reviewing your own submittals as a. I mean, it's just a tool to help you do it faster. But at the end of the day, the user still owns, like, right? If they go in there and they say, well, this one was actually a fail, but it's a pass, or vice versa, or something like that. It's kind of just it's like you don't, if the building falls down, you don't sue the hammer manufacturer because the nail didn't go in all the way or something, right? Like
that's it. We're a tool, so use like that.
Scanning. Any other questions? Well,
I think we've had some really good ones. I just love when people just get involved. It makes it so much more fun.
I do too. Makes it. Well, I think we're gonna call it there, man.
Awesome. Well, look, yeah. Cheers for the third installment. It's been great. I'll leave everyone with this. Look, very seriously, if you want to try it out for free, just book a demo. Let me know. We can get something set up. Or if you just want to do a deeper dive, you want to show the team the demo, just let me know. More than happy to do either or. So that'd be great.
Cool. Thomas, always a pleasure, man.
Hey, you too. You too, man.
Oh, we didn't even talk about I want to bring up the human in the loop piece. If you didn't see that, go check out the YouTube video we put up, last week? A week or two ago? Last week?
Yeah, definitely consult that. We should have done. If anyone wants to, again, if that's something people want to talk about and get into the weeds of how BuildSync's process works and why I can turn around to you and give you a warm, fuzzy feeling about our levels of accuracy compared to anything else, just, I'm more than happy to get in. I can't do it in a minute, but I can do it in like 7 minutes. So let me know.
Or go watch that YouTube video too. But
watch the YouTube video. And Luke's in that YouTube video, and he's much more articulate with the process than I am. So yes, that is probably a good idea.
Cool. Thanks, Tom.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, everyone. Take care.